Should we buy or sell Stellar/US dollar? First off, read this disclaimer carefully. And do your good deed of the day by liking and subscribing. So here is the pair. So let's just jump right into the charts. So it's XLM/USD. Well, let's first quickly look at the website. So it's stellar.org. Stellar is an open network for storing and moving money. So borderless, limitless, powerful, Stellar makes it possible to create, send, and trade digital representations of all forms of money. Dollars, pesos, Bitcoin, pretty much anything. It's designed so all the world's financial systems can work together on a single network. Yeah, that's definitively, very important stuff. So let's just, let's look at, the charts. So this is, if we go here, weekly data points, this is the bigger picture for XLM/USD. Data from Binance. So now we do potentially have, a technical pattern that is pretty famous, and that is the cup and handle pattern. So it is a bullish technical setup. So that's definitively interesting. We have, however, seen more weakness in the handle of that cup and handle than one would like to see. Like this sell-off here, losing the blue 100-week moving average, not really ideal. So it's, looking at the weekly data points here, you could argue that, from a more bullish perspective, that we potentially have some horizontal support. Let me draw that in. So we do have support back here, also from these highs. This intra-week low on this candlestick as well. So we are in a territory that is interesting, but it's not like, strongly bullish. Yeah, when we go here to the daily data points, we are below a lot of moving averages. The number one moving average to watch going forward is definitively this very important green 50-day moving average. The bears are very actively using it as a shorting level, so it's been really good for shorts so far. Somewhat of a caveat here is that if we zoom in, so the bears have been able to just short, but yesterday we did actually close higher. Throughout this entire downtrend, we have not been able to close higher. So there are some initial signs that the bulls are more confident, but it is unfortunate that we do have a down day today. So there is some activity, but it's still very tepid action from the bulls. You could make the case that the Bitdefender is too sensitive for sure. Beyond that, we do have we are very close to a MACD bullish crossover here on the weekly data points. That is bullish. Looking at RSI, we are very low still. So given the range of this crypto, we are definitively in oversold territory. When we go here to the daily data points, so in terms of the most recent rally, crossing above the 50-day moving average, you do see here that on the dailies, RSI has its own sort of overbought level recently. So it seems to struggle to get above 60 on RSI. So you see that here, pull back, here as well. So and also in terms of the 20-day moving average, the distance between price and the 20-day it's at a level that has triggered some of the prior pullbacks. Like this pullback here where we tested the 50-day, we had a very similar reading on distance from the 20-day moving average and also RSI. So yeah, we are in sort of a bit of a precarious situation here in terms of the charts. In terms of the line in the sand, I would say that 50 DMA war zone, like that, because the bulls are sort of trying to get above it. Then again, we do see that the bears just are back at it today. I think we could also write here and MACD weeklies, and just a question mark, because we don't have that MACD bullish crossover yet, but it could happen. So that is definitively something that would at least embolden some of the longer term bulls. So in terms of giving the technicals here a rating, so is the current setup more beneficial for the bulls or the bears? I would lean a little bit here in the direction of the bears, simply because they are right at it today, trying to sort of ruin what the bulls did yesterday with the 50-day moving average. But I think it is very close, so I will actually give it the -1 here on the technicals. So just slightly in favor of the bears. But we basically have a full-blown battle now, it's sort of like a Mexican standoff between the bulls and the bears. So let's look at seasonality. Here is the seasonality. So you see that over the last 5 years in green, to the right here, you do see that there is this increase in strength into early April. Also in blue over the last 7 years, the same thing. We don't have any data recent, well, for the coming period for the last 10 years. Looking here to the left, we do see that March is a mediocre month, but April is very strong. Over the last 7 years, we do see that April is the strongest month. So that is definitively more bullish than bearish. So in terms of the seasonality here, so we are still in March, but as we saw on the in terms of the average price action over the last 5 and 7 years, there is something a bit bullish about the coming period. And also April is the strongest month. April is right around the corner, so I'm going to lean a bit bullish here. I think I will give the bulls, I think I will give them, a 3. I will only give them a 3 because we have a bit limited amount of data here. The less data you have, the more cautious you have to be about conclusions, because there is a risk, that you have had some very strong Aprils before that have a very outsized effect on the seasonality. Yeah, so if we had like 20 years of seasonality data then, and April was like very strong, then one could actually conclude that there's something distinct about April. But yeah, I gave them a 3. This looks bullish from a seasonality perspective. But it's basically a lot, primarily about April here. I usually don't give any kind of fundamental ratings on cryptos because it's just a very messy territory to get into. And then we go here to relative performance instead. So here we have the relationship between Stellar and S&P 500, 75%, so very strong positive correlation here. And then we have 91% with Bitcoin and 34% with gold, minus 67% with the dollar index. Looking at daily data points, then we do have 66% with SPY, 97% with Bitcoin, so very, very, very strong. Minus 57% with gold, and minus 73% with the dollar index. So it is pretty clear that the thing that will have the biggest impact on Stellar is Bitcoin, which is not like a huge surprise either. So here we have the Bitcoin index. We see here that Bitcoin is super close to also getting a bullish crossover here on the MACD, which makes it interesting to answer what happened previous times we had a bullish crossover. So that is here. In this case, you did get some rally, but you see here also that the weekly MACD, it is a very slow indicator. It did call this top relatively nicely, but the MACD, it works, but it is a bit risky in that it is slow. But yeah, we do have, we are super close here to a bullish crossover here on Bitcoin, and that would help out Stellar and other cryptos. Looking on the daily data points, Bitcoin has its own moving average battle. That is the blue 100-day moving average. It's been support back here, as you can see. Support became resistance, and yeah, it is unfortunate here because you do see that the bulls were right up there to test it yesterday, Today, the bears are like, no, you are not getting above it. So there is a battle here as well. So let's look here at the relationship here between Stellar and Bitcoin. So we do it like this, and let's get Bitcoin, like that. Yeah, here is the relationship. It shows us whether there's been outperformance, underperformance, or just sideways action. And we do see that given the history of this pair, we are at a very low level. There have been more periods in the past where we outperformed than where there was even more underperformance. So that is potentially a bit interesting. We do see that if we zoom in a bit, so here we had monstrous outperformance of Stellar against Bitcoin, and that was during the April period. Here we had massive outperformance that was late into the year, extending all the way here to early 2018. Here we had some outperformance around July. So it seems like there's a bit of a general tendency for outperformance of Stellar against Bitcoin around the April period, and also later into the year. So that's very interesting. It's very relevant for us now, given that April is around the corner. So that is definitively what I would call bullish. Looking here at the seasonality of the pair. So in terms of the seasonality data here, we do see that it's a bit flattish here. So yeah, when we take here the average of the seasonality, you do see a bit of a different thing. But then again, what we saw here also on the chart is not, it was also real. So it's just that those times where Stellar outperformed were not sufficient really to change the average data. Okay, so next let's look at Bitcoin against, let's take gold as an example, because that is, the classic. Might as well take the futures. So you do see here that Bitcoin, it does have a tendency to form these time cycles against gold. So let's draw that in. Yeah, I mean, there is some reliability here to the time cycles. It does suggest that the current rise could be part of a major rising phase extending here into early July. We can see that these time cycles have also been relevant here way back in the past, like here in 2018. So yeah, there is something here with these time cycles. So let me just look here at the seasonality of this pair. So we go here to the dailies, like that. So in terms of the seasonality forecaster, Bitcoin has a tendency to outperform here heading towards early April. So in terms of giving relative performance a score here, Bitcoin is super close to getting a major MACD crossover, bullish, but we do have problems with the 100-day moving average. So sort of like the potential bullish news and the bearish news, they are a bit in conflict. Then again, we did see that Stellar, it has outperformed Bitcoin significantly in the past, so I do think I will lean a bit bullish here, but we just have to be a bit careful here in terms of how bullish the score is. But yeah, let me just give it a 3. So we do end up with a 1.7, so the data is more favorable for bullish ideas here for Stellar than bearish. A key part of the bullish thesis is definitively the MACD crossover on the weeklies. That would definitively be very, very beneficial. The 50-day moving average is basically a major war zone now for the bulls and the bears. I don't like what the bulls are doing today, just running a bit scared, because if we do lose the 50-day moving average, like clearly, and it's reinforced as a resistance level, and also if we do get reinforcement of the 100-daily moving average resistance on Bitcoin, then we could see a substantial sell-off. So it's basically a full-blown battle now between the bulls and the bears, And the bulls need to act now. I don't really think they can wait until April. But yeah, whatever you do, of course, you want to use stops and be market neutral.